So, back on with the main webinar. Christy, how you doing?
I'm good, I'm good. How are you?
Yeah, I'm all good. I'm all good. We've been speaking since Property Developer Show Manchester about 2 years ago, would you say?
Yeah. I think it was, yeah, 2024.
Yeah, and you blew me away because you were sort of coming to a property event with your background in socials, and me and you had a conversation about how important social media is, but how specifically it's being properly underutilized in the property industry. And we've kept in touch, and obviously tonight was just a really good opportunity for you to come on and share some of the tips and tricks of LinkedIn that a lot of people in property are not focusing on right now. Would you say that's sort of the theme that you're finding?
Said somebody's ringing me, and I don't know how to stop it. Right, I'm going to turn my phone off.
Yeah, Christy was just telling me off camera that she was going to put everything on Do Not Disturb so that no one would phone her during the during the webinar. But you've done
It
what
was
I
on Do Not
normally
Disturb.
do.
I don't know how they've got through. They must have rang me a couple of times and they've got
Don't
through on
worry
time.
about it. It's my usual trick, so I have to put Do Not Disturb on my laptop and my phone. And yeah, so I was just saying, in terms of in property at the moment, is are you finding that property is gradually getting better as an industry at presenting themselves on LinkedIn?
I think so, yeah. So I think there is definitely more awareness than there was probably even when we first met. Like people are understanding the importance of LinkedIn more. But I think the real trick is how people are showing up and how that generates into actually getting what you want. Because there's one thing of showing up and posting, but it's another thing to actually do it in a way which actually gets you sales, leads, clients, whatever that might be. So I definitely think there's a lot of opportunity on there. Definitely a lot of improvement since, even in the past year or so. But yeah, still a lot of room for people to improve and still a lot of opportunity. Definitely the most underutilized or one of the most underutilized platforms that there is, I think.
Definitely. And there was some stats, and I hope I'm not ruining anything in your presentation, but it's like only 1% of people that use LinkedIn are actually posting on it,
Yeah, I believe that is the case. I've heard that before. Yeah,
which is mental when you think
insane.
about how much opportunities there are. And certainly, I know from my own experiences that when I've been speaking to people, and certainly in the UK Homes Network as well, is that people will post once and then they won't post again. But it's a long game, isn't it? It's not
Yeah,
something that you're going to immediately produce results, but once the wheels start turning, it's a case of that you
yeah,
can literally turn the taps on and open the floodgates.
yeah, 100%. I think it's not an if, it's a when. If you're consistent with it, and yeah, it's just about actually dedicating time and doing what is right for you because being consistent, I think, looks different for everyone. Some people are committed to posting once a day, 3 times a day, but for other people, once a week is the same consistency that they can actually give. And I think as long as you are able to dedicate some time into whatever consistency looks like for you, it will definitely pay off in the long term, especially if you're doing it right.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, I've used LinkedIn in multiple businesses that I've worked for. And then really when I started UK Homes Network, I was like, right, that's where my audience is. That's who I want to bring um into UK Homes Network. But it's only now, after sort of two and a bit years later, that I'm starting to see the people that I initially sort of reached out to or messaged or had contact with that are coming full circle and that are actually starting to either one support us with our live events or actually let's put it in layman's terms, spend money with us as
Yeah,
a business. And that's, down to sort of consistency and that posting. But I don't want to make this about me because I have a habit of doing that. So I'm gonna hand over to you, Christy, and you've prepared some amazing slides, which I've been lucky enough to have a flick through before tonight's webinar. And some of the value in there that people are going to learn from is incredible. So, without further ado, if you'd like to share your screen, and I'll hand over to
yeah,
you.
I can do that. And thank you. Thank you for the introduction as well. Yeah, let me just share my screen. Right, okay. So can we see this?
Yes,
Okay, perfect. Can you see you or just the screen?
I can see you and the slides. The slides
Okay,
are all big. Yeah.
okay, perfect. So yeah, so thank you all for coming on and joining us today for this LinkedIn presentation, and thank you, Chris, for the introduction and your kind words and allowing me to come on and speak to everyone who is in the UK Homes Network. I mean, everyone that's in the UK Homes Network is such a nice person to talk to. It's been very valuable for me to connect with people within that network as well. So definitely do not sleep on that as well. But let's get into LinkedIn. So a little bit about me. So I own Ocho the agency, as Chris has just mentioned. I work with anybody who is within the property industry. So that is from developers, investors, property entrepreneurs. We generate posts which get thousands and thousands of impressions per week. We've actually generated over £20 million in sales or revenue for our clients on social media, and we've actually helped generate over £10 million in GDV through our clients, if that makes sense. I feel like I've just butchered the way I said that, but yeah. The reason I'm telling you this isn't to blow my own trumpet. It's basically to give you some credibility that I actually do know what I'm talking about. And yeah, so that is why I am hosting the webinar today. So the goals and what you should hopefully know by the end of this is why LinkedIn is the most powerful lead generation tool, how we're going to build a personal brand which, oh, sorry, what have I done?
No, you're all good. Yeah, if you just share it again, that should be all right.
There we go. How to build a personal brand that attracts leads and not chases them away, what to post and what actually works when you are posting. I've put a little bit about Instagram in there, but I believe I've took that out, so please ignore that. And a repeatable system for growth. I've also added in a little section about how you can use AI for LinkedIn on here as well, so hopefully we find that useful. I also hope that this isn't death by PowerPoint as well, so please, if anyone wants to ask any questions, please feel free to interrupt me or put a question in the chat, whatever, and hopefully one of us will see it and answer it. So why should you be on social media? I feel like this goes without saying nowadays, but it is the modern day website and shop window for you, for your business. It builds credibility, it builds trust. You know, how are people meant to know you exist and believe in what you do if they don't know about you? It opens up room for collaborations and referrals. I mean, as Chris has just said there, now he is reaping the rewards of posting, and yet it does take some time, but being consistent, it really does open doors, and you don't know what is possible until you do it, and then you think, why have I not done this sooner? It will attract affiliations with other professionals in that industry. So for example, if you go to a networking event and then you tag other people who've been to that event that have quite a high level of credibility and you're associated with them, it builds your profile as well. And then obviously that all equals monetization of whatever your service is. So whether you're a developer and needs investment, investors are on there. Whether you are a interior designer or architect and want more clients, again, your developers are on there. So it's just about getting in front of the right audience and being able to provide the value that they are looking for. So before you start anything and before you start posting, you need to get clear on the following. So first is your positioning. Who are you speaking to? Because it's all well and good posting at everybody, but the best way to be known for something is obviously to be posting about one thing consistently. And if you're looking to sell to somebody, you need to know basically who you're selling to. So it's about knowing who your target audience is and speaking to them. So what is their age? What is the gender? Are they based anywhere specifically? What is their job title? Likes, dislikes? What tone of voice do they like? Because, for example, if I'm talking to 50-year-old men who are in finance, I'm probably not going to be writing girly pop posts about how I love friendships on LinkedIn. I'm going to be talking facts. I'm going to be getting straight to the point, and I'm going to be trying to offer them something. So knowing your audience is really important when it comes to content creation. Consistency. So again, how often can you realistically show up every week? So whether that is weekly, 3 times a week, daily, 3 times a day. I mean, I would recommend doing it weekly, at least 3 times a week if possible, but you know, it has to work around you and your schedule. And if you are in property, a lot of people are still in their actual job and are making property work on the side. Some people have got businesses which take up the most of the time. So it's about fitting that into your schedule in the best way possible. And again, think about what is your credibility. So why should people trust you? Because that is the most important thing at the end of the day. What is your USP? What are some stories that you've got that you can share, which showcases your talent, your knowledge, what you can offer? Case studies, what have you learned? What are some mistakes that you made? And you make sure that you show some personality. Oh my God, the amount of AI drivel that we see on social media now is absolutely ridiculous. And on it, like, you can just smell it a mile away. And the number one thing that you can do to make yourself stand out is actually just having a personality and showing off you. People buy into people, and I think we should never underestimate the power of being yourself, because some people might not like you, but the right ones will. Um, so LinkedIn overview. So as we all know, LinkedIn is a professional business platform. So it's ideal for creating credibility and authority. The decision makers for whoever you are trying to target are here, and they're here daily. It's perfect for showcasing your expertise, attracting collaboration, business conversations, and posts still reach beyond who your followers are. So if you're posting on Instagram or TikTok, the way their algorithms work is it will push it out to around 10% of your followers that are actively engaged, and depending on how that post performs, then it'll get pushed out. Whereas LinkedIn, the algorithm is completely different, and it uses like SEO and will basically choose who is relevant based on what their profile is, and how their audience has engaged with your content. So first we're going to go through the basics. So profile optimization. So this is before we've even written a post. This is how your profile should look so when you do start creating posts, if people land on your profile, they don't just think, oh, this is just a random person, or it's a blank screen, or we don't really know what they do. It needs to be painfully clear who you are, who you help, and why somebody should even bother giving you their time. So first, we're going to start with profile optimization, and feel free to screenshot this, pause this on the recording to go back on and use this to help optimize your profile if you haven't done this already. So there's a winning formula for your headline, and that is the bit that's like, it's like your bio. It's probably the best way to describe it on LinkedIn. So basically, if you say like your job title, your speciality within your job function, and then say exactly who you help, like never underestimate calling out your audience, because if you don't, then people are not meant to know. I know it sounds ridiculous, but people do need spoon feeding a lot of the time. So yeah, so for example, property investor building high yields and portfolios across the Northwest, helping busy professionals create a passive income. So it's making it painfully clear for whoever drops on your profile why they should care about what you do and what value that you can offer them. Again, your about section, don't make this just, I'm looking for this, get in touch. Nobody's going to get in touch yet. Nobody's going to drop you an email. You need to, again, make it engaging, explain who you are, what you do, make your about section somehow about your target audience. So how you help them and why they should listen to you. Results, showcase some results that you've helped your clients achieve, or whichever function you might be in. So for example, if you are a interior designer, you can say that you've helped hundreds of homeowners make their properties more money through rental income through interior design, or put actual data in there, and then have a call to action in there. So whether that is an email, a link to your Calendly, you need to again explicitly tell people what to do if you want them to get in touch with you. And then, so this is just an example of that. So I won't read it all, but yeah, feel free to go back and have a little look at this at a different time. Again, your profile image, make sure you've got a picture, make sure people can see who you are. It needs to be professional, basically. Don't have any pictures of you with a drink in your hand. I know we all like a good time, but the CEO of an investment firm does not care that you like to drink an Aperol Spritz of a weekend. Make sure that it's not blurry or too dark. Make sure you're the only person in the image. It's all pretty self-explanatory stuff, but get the basics right and it'll just help you even further. So why posting matters, again, we've kind of gone over this, but it builds trust, credibility, positions you as a leader in your industry, and will keep you top of mind with potential clients. So Have I shared the wrong screen? 1 second. Um,
So just
there's
while you're
somebody.
finding that, I found that really, really helpful in terms of actually laying out what profile pictures work and what ones don't, because um, it
Sounds ridiculous, doesn't it, really?
well, no, it's amazing the amount of people that use their own company logo as their profile picture. And
Yeah, that's another one actually that you see all the time.
what I always try and stress is that everything that you do on LinkedIn is just a digital extension of you networking out in person. And my friend Shane Trainer coined this really perfectly, is that you've always seen someone in the room that you recognize, but you can't figure out where you know them from when you're out networking. And the
Yeah.
reason is because they have either a really strong presence on platforms, or they have a really good profile picture, which makes them really identifiable to you.
Yeah, I mean, the amount of times that I've been to a networking event and people go, "Oh, I know you from LinkedIn," is ridiculous. Right, I'm
Yeah.
back. Sorry. Okay, so what not to do when you post them. So you're not going to copy and paste AI. We're not definitely not going to do that. We're not going to overuse bullet points or M dashes that, again, look like they've been copied off AI or they're just boring. We're not going to make everything about selling, because you will know as a consumer you do not want to be sold to. We're in the age where nobody wants to be sold to. Actually, like, everyone values the authenticity and like that you should really do this because of this. Like, no, everyone is selling to you, but you need to do it in a subtle way. It's how you package it. Um, don't share things without context. So don't say like, here's a pic with no story, but likewise don't say, here's something, and then give like no explanation to it. Give depth, and if possible, give a picture which will go with it. And do not ignore engagement. So that is, I would say, one of the most important things on LinkedIn, is making sure that you are engaging with your audience, making sure that you have open dialogue with them, make sure that you are actively commenting with the community, because LinkedIn likes that and it will favour your posts for you being an active member within its app. Um, what to do? Write like you talk. Again, keep it personal, keep it conversational, share stories and not just like statements. So if you're going to say something dramatic like, you shouldn't invest in Manchester, give a reason why, give a case study, give a reason why somebody said that. Don't just make a statement and run with it. Show visuals. I would always add a picture to your posts. Automatically does better. Tag other accounts where you can, because that will show you off to their audience as well. Again, engage back and stay consistent. 2 to 3 posts per week is plenty. But yeah, at least once a week, I would say. So this is what you're going to use as your post roadmap. So every post that you write, well, not every post, because other posts have got different purposes, but if you're writing a post which is a storytelling post or a case study, this is a great way to format it to get the most out of that post. So what you're going to do is you're going to write a hook. The first line of your content is the most important. It does 90% of the work for that piece of content. So, and when we say the first line, the hook, we mean the first 2 to 3 seconds that somebody has to look or engage with that piece of content, because you're basically fighting for attention and you've got to show people why they should give you their time, essentially. So we want to hook people in, we want to get intrigued, and we're going to have a strong first line that's going to stop the scroll and get people engaged. We're then going to share some context. So we might say something like, you'll never believe what cost £1 million. And then it's going to be, we're going to jump completely from that into, I was in a client's office the other day, and you're going to start telling the story. You're not going to sell them exactly what cost £1 million, because that creates a content gap. And we want people to linger on our posts for as long as possible. So that is the way that LinkedIn basically reviews how it will get pushed out. The thing that these apps want more than anything is watch time and linger time. So you want somebody on your LinkedIn post to click on, see more, and linger on your post for as long as possible. So by creating a content gap between the hook and the rest of your post, people just want to get to find out what you've hooked at the beginning. which will make your post perform better, essentially. So yeah, so you're going to give a little bit of a brief background of the story that you're telling. You're then going to have a villain or an issue in the story that you're telling. So this could be, you'll never guess what was £1,000,000. I was in a client's office the other day, and this client was really rude to them. I'm making this up as go along, by the way, so God knows where this story is going to go. And they were really rude to me. And the lesson was, they're really rude to me when they were addressing somebody who had a contract who was worth £1,000,000. And then from that, they lost the contract. The lesson would be, you never know who's listening because blah, blah, blah. Example, again, that kind of feeds that in. Value what you learned or what you can apply later. So that is always be kind to people. I don't know. This has just gone on a completely different tangent than I thought it was going to go. And call to action. So at the end, so say, for example, you are, again, if you're like an interior designer, you can say, if you like the look of this project, or if you're working on £1,000,000 home as well, get in touch, and we've got the team to facilitate doing that. So, always tell people how they can contact you or what you want them to do next after they've written the post. I have written some examples. So this is an example post which is bland. So this is not what to do. These have got the place. These do have the place, but, very, very rare are we doing a post that's like this. Very salesy, not much detail. People aren't going to linger on that for very long. This is an example post using the format that I've just explained. I've definitely edited this and it's not saved because there was a call to action at the bottom of that, but okay. So when to post, Tuesdays and Thursdays are the best days. So sorry, Tuesday through to Thursday. So Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. That being Monday, people are just getting back into work. They've usually got quite a big to-do list. A lot of people have Mondays off sometimes, or the bank holidays. And again, on Fridays, kind of for the same reason, a lot of people take it easy on a Friday. They aren't really that bothered. They're just looking forward to the weekend and they're not really engaging on LinkedIn. So I always find that Tuesdays through to Thursday are the best days. And then likewise, it's usually times where people aren't working and they're on the phone. So early morning on the commute, 12 till 1, usually around lunchtime, and then early evening when they are on the commute back home. So LinkedIn outreach. Again, this is, I feel like I haven't saved this. Is right. I'm going to stop sharing again, see if I can find the right slides, because this was...
Yeah, just to come in again, Christy, with that roadmap, I've never seen it mapped out that much in detail in terms of how you should be structuring a post. You pretty much written most of my posts for me, with me just filling in the gaps there, which is so useful because I think one of the things that people really struggle with is the narrative and at what point you should be dropping stuff in. I am literally going to get that slide off you, and that is the way I'm going to move forward because the biggest time consuming part of social media for me is not actually writing the post, it's the inspiration behind what you're going to write.
Oh
And
no, 100%. Like it just it makes it 10 times easier if you, I mean, there's different ways that we can generate ideas as well. So what you can do is you can use like AI and different websites to pull your ideas. You can then plug it into a framework and it basically does it for you. And all you've got to do is read it.
yeah,
And
that
thank you.
framework is just that literally makes it so clear in my head in terms of the direction I want to go in terms of each post, because I end up spending time editing because the one paragraph looks totally out of context just being sat near the top when actually I should be finishing on that line rather
Yeah.
than yeah. So I really appreciate that.
Oh, thanks. I mean, I feel like my my example as I was talking through it wasn't very good, but hopefully, when you're creating them, and if you look back at the example and stuff, you'll know what I mean. But like on the flow, but yeah, thanks.
No, that was great.
Right, I'm on the right one now, guys. Sorry, stuck me halfway through it. So automations. So this is something which a lot of people use, not a lot of people admit to, but there's a couple of different ways that you can automate your LinkedIn or your socials to basically make it easier for you and to get in front of more people. So what can we automate? So we can automate scheduling and we can automate queuing posts. So you can do this within the LinkedIn app, which is the more favourable thing to do because you're not putting a plugin into it. I use a software for my clients, which is probably a bit complex for like an individual user, but that's called Plannable, and it's basically like a two-way interface that I use for clients' content. And then there's also ones which are like Buffer. But I would say if you're just doing your own content, I would just schedule it within the app. It keeps it all easy, peasy breezy, and the platforms tend to like it better. So you can also use automations for recycling your best content. So what you can do is you can connect your AI software of choice. I use Claude. You can get it to analyze all of your, like you can pull an analytics report from your LinkedIn, get it to analyze all your best performing posts, and from that get it to repurpose. So you've already come up with the ideas. It's already your content and your tone of voice. You can pull that, import it into AI, and it'll basically just give you the same posts again, but slightly rewritten, and you can basically just post it again. Tracking engagement, again, you can do this with different tools. Reminders to comment and reply. I wouldn't automate this. I would always just do this yourself. You can get the automations which will reply and comment, but I just don't think they look very good. They look AI and they don't build things, but you can automate it, which is why I've put it in here. And then there's also DM outreach campaigns, which aren't in mail. So within LinkedIn, you can send in mails, which are like a paid service within LinkedIn to connect with people that you aren't connected in with. But there is a way that you can do DM outreach from an external plugin, which doesn't show up as an email and is completely personalizable to whatever audience. You can handpick the audience which will go out to. LinkedIn hates these and will actively try and stop you doing it. So you've got to be really, really sneaky how you set these up so your account doesn't get flagged, basically.
I'm laughing because I have one of these automations, the DM outreach
Yeah.
ones, and Kumi is on the call, is in the audience, and she received one off me recently. And I don't know if you noticed there was a bit of an issue with the LinkedIn algorithm, and it was censoring a lot of people's content. And Kumi got a message from me that basically said this user has sent you a message which basically that they hide it because it's got
Well, I've never
dangerous
seen.
content. Um, and yeah, it's so funny because I do actually use that and it has been really good for us.
Which
But
one do you use? If you don't mind me
I
asking.
yeah, of course, I use Dripify.
Okay, so I've not used that one before. I use one that's called Landlist.
Yes, yeah, I've looked into Lemlist as well because that does your emails as well, doesn't it?
Does your emails, does your LinkedIn, and you can be really sneaky and you can do voice notes on there as well. So people think you're getting personalised voice notes from you and they're not.
Or maybe I need to book in another demo of that.
But again, you need to be really careful. So basically, you can't send more than 200 of any automation per week because otherwise LinkedIn goes, spam, and will block your account. Like I've
Yeah.
had numerous people message me like, "Hi, have you ever dealt with a blocked LinkedIn account before?" And I've been like, "Yeah, have you used an automation tool?" And they've gone, "Yeah." And I've gone, "Have you gone over the 200 limit for the week?" And they've said, "Yeah." And I've gone, "That's why." It's like it's not rocket science. They don't like it because they want you to pay for their in-mail and they don't like losing control of how their platform works. So yeah, so you can use it. I'm not telling you you shouldn't use it. What I'm telling you to do is be careful and do your own research because it can get you to compound, basically. But we've all done it. So now AI for posts. We do not copy and paste posts from AI. We can use AI, big advocate, but we're not going to copy and paste. We can use it to make our lives easier. So what we're going to do if we want to use AI is we're going to create a project in whichever AI of your choice, so whether that is chat or whether that is Claude. You're going to go in and you're going to create a project. Within that project, you're going to name it social media, and then you're going to put in a fact sheet, which has got everything about your business in. So who you are, what you do, what your core offering is, who is your target audience, what are their pain points, basically anything that you can feed it to give it information, you're going to give it all that. Then we're going to do what I've said previously. So if you've never posted before, this kind of isn't relevant, but what you can do instead of this is get example posts which you like, and then hopefully with your tone, you can tweak it so it's yours and not copied. But you're going to get 3 or 4 of your best posts, so it learns your tone, your structure, and how you like to write and speak. You're going to get that, plug that into Claude, and then it can basically from that you can create posts. There's also a website which is called, well, there's numerous websites that you can get content ideas from, but there's one in specific, in particular, called Answer the Public. And if you've never used this before, basically it's a free website where you can go on, and if you type in your niche and your location, it will tell you what people are searching for on Google, on AI, and on social media. So you get 3 free searches a day, I believe, on the free version. So unless you're like me, who runs accounts for people for a living, the free version is absolutely fine. You can go on, you can scrape all the ideas from that, feed it into Claude, it'll give you all your ideas, and then and then you post, then you get my framework that I've just given you. You plug that in as well, and there you go. It's giving you all your posts, and then all you've got to do is make sure it doesn't sound like a robot's written it. So, no one's telling you don't use AI. What we're saying is don't make your content sound like it was written by AI, but use it to get you there 90% of the way done, and then all you've got to do is basically finalise it and look over it. And again, this is for some posts. You can't do this for every post, but again, it just makes things a hell of a lot easier. And then tweak it to sound like you. Outreach methods. So if you are going to do DMs to people, whether that be on an automation or whether you're going to hand DM people, please do not go in with a pitch, for crying out loud. Nobody, imagine you were somebody who had £1 million to invest. You've got investor on your LinkedIn, so you're basically just asking for people to message you, asking you for money. Can you imagine the amount of messages that they get every single day, being like, "Hi, I've got this opportunity. Can you give me 500 grand?" Don't go in for the kill straight away. Keep it personal, show that you actually care, and you've actually looked into the profile, because again, I manage a lot of LinkedIn accounts and I see everybody else's messages that they're getting, and some people can't even spell the bloody name right. You think, how are you going to get people to trust you if you can't even read? Try and actually spark up a conversation. Don't just cold pitch somebody. Don't try and close on the first message. Engage with the post. Just try and add a bit of a human element to it. And you're not going to convert every single person, but you've got more likelihood of that relationship turning into something which will benefit both of you than you just cold pitching and it being like a brick wall, because everyone hates being sold to. And that is it. I didn't want to put any more on there because I didn't want to bombard everyone. But feel free to fire away and ask me any questions, or if you think I've missed anything or you want me to clarify anything, please do ask. And always ask this, if you feel like you want to message me about something that you forget, please do.
That was amazing, Christy. That was packed with so much value. And there's a lot that I really like about that in terms of sort of the things that I'm doing with LinkedIn. I'll be totally honest. I've tried to create a structure to give me inspiration, and I've scheduled a project within Cowork Claude to give me regular updates on things I should be posting and what I should be posting.
Yeah.
But it's not, I've not trained the AI well enough. So it might give me inspiration, but it's very, very loosely set around the subject lines that
Yeah.
I've given. Whereas what you've done with that Claude framework is you've basically created a way that Claude can draw on what you're already doing and the information that you've got, and then it can run with that creativity rather than being hampered by the prompt that you put into Claude to tell it.
Yeah, I think people just think AI just can read your mind, and it still requires work, doesn't it, to actually coach it and train it and get it to know who you are. Because you'll know, won't you? You just see posts and you think, God, whose idea was it to post that? Because it's just AI everywhere. Whereas obviously when you can see somebody's actually took time to make it personal to them, you just see a big difference, in my opinion. But I know what you mean. I think at first when I was using AI and when I was trying to get the grips of it, I was having the same thing, and I was like, why is it not listening to me? But it's not that it's not listening, it's that you haven't given enough
Yeah,
information to go off.
100%. And the one thing that LinkedIn, because I listened to a podcast with the chief marketing officer for LinkedIn, There's a really good podcast called Uncensored CMO, and it was
Okay.
a guy who was like he was CMO for some big businesses. His like most famous job is that he got sacked from BrewDog, and he's done like sort of various other businesses, and he's had Rory Sutherland on about 5 to 10 episodes. Like it's really
Yeah.
good. But the CMO one with the LinkedIn CMO, and forgive me, I can't remember her name, but she was saying that the biggest thing that they're trying to face right now at LinkedIn is cracking down on authenticity and discover and finding posts that are not actually written by the person. It's written by AI and that it's generated because
Yeah, well, the algorithm has got like a scanner now because if you've noticed the way AI like formats things, it's got like its hallmarks, hasn't it? It's got like weird spaces, it's got the M dashes, it's got certain words, and like the algorithm doesn't like it. And I think people are just when I say it, I think people are like, "Oh, you're just trying to protect your job," and I'm like, I'm genuinely not. Like, if you posted a piece of handwritten content compared to a piece of AI content and watched how they perform next to each other, this one would outperform the AI one every day of the week, and it's because the algorithm doesn't like it.
yeah, but you say that, but I mean, people pushing back against it in terms of you not trying to keep your job. But I think if the amount of times that I've tried to put into Claude a post and then tried to get it to rewrite it and trying to justify the context in terms of what I'm writing, and then the mistakes it makes with my tone of voice and not being able to get that, for the amount of prompts that I've written, putting that into Claude based on the framework and the roadmap that you showed today, if I just followed your framework and roadmap, it would have taken me half the time to write that myself than it would have been to try and get ChatGPT to do it or Claude. And having said that, you then have to go back to like a watermark remover or hallmark remover,
Yeah,
as you've said, and then you have to copy and paste it back into the platform and then restructure it because once you remove the hallmarks, it removes all the paragraphs. So
yeah.
you have to basically then reformat it.
It takes
Basically,
longer a lot of the
it,
time.
yeah. So you're removing the creative element, but you're actually adding more admin in the process. So
Yeah.
I think what you've done today is shared um, some tips on actually how to save a lot of time by not overcomplicating the process. Which brings me on to my next sort of question in terms of um, there's a question that regularly comes up when I'm out sort of talking about LinkedIn, and it'd be really fascinating to get your view on this because I genuinely don't know. I'm only going off anecdotal evidence. Some have suggested that using scheduling software actually reduces your engagement and impressions because you're using third-party software into LinkedIn. I appreciate you probably don't know if there's any sort of quantifiable evidence on that, but have you actually seen firsthand how that's?
I've not seen it personally. I've had I've actually trialed this because obviously like I get access to people's accounts for what we do. Um and so we have the option basically whether we schedule within an app or we schedule within a scheduling app. 90% of the time we schedule within a scheduling app and they all perform. Like we've literally done like for like and they've performed either exactly the same or how you would expect a post to perform. I do still think it's better to just schedule within an app where possible, just like within the app if possible, because I do think that's probably something that they are going to crack down on. Because again, they don't really like losing control of functionality within their own apps, but it's not something that we've seen. I do think on Instagram it's slightly different and like them type of platforms, but you can schedule within Instagram now.
And they built the whole Meta platform in order for businesses to,
Be able to take control over it and do it within the app.
yeah, which is something that LinkedIn is too far behind on, in my opinion. But
Yeah.
um, yeah, that's really interesting. And in terms of sort of the consistency element, I know that's so important, and it's something that I try and bang the drum for. I noticed that your sort of times in terms of when you're posting um, are very concise in terms of when you're looking to to get that reaction. Obviously it goes through a test phase, and you said that it hits 10%. It hits
Yeah,
10%
yeah,
first, and then based on that ratio of engagement, the likes, the comments, the shares, it will then decide whether it farms it out to the next batch, and then
yeah,
eventually that's how you become viral. um, I noticed that you mentioned on one of the slides that there's a window between 5 and 6 p.m. Did I get that? Is that the right
yeah,
time?
yeah, yeah.
Now, I'll be totally honest, I've never had the confidence to post between 5 and 6 p.m.
Okay.
So I would love to just hear from you what kind of experience you've had with that, because I think a lot of people would be under the impression, like you said, the daily commute, the lunchtime is optimum time, but
Yeah.
I'd love to hear a little bit more about that.
So I think again, if you had the option, I would always post early morning. That's usually generally when I post. Like I will always post at like 8 a.m.
Yeah,
generally. But when I've tried this a lot.
yeah,
And if you post at like 10, 11 a.m., you're not really getting much. If you post at like 2, 3 p.m., again, you're not getting much. But the way people are on the commute to work between like 7 and 9, people are on the way home between 5 and 7. So people are still on the platform at that
yeah,
time. And don't get me wrong, they probably wouldn't perform as well as if you posted at 8, but it's not going to do as badly as if you posted at like 10,
yeah.
if that makes sense. Like I would say like it's still going to perform decent. And like a lot of the time, posting time is important, but the piece of content needs to be is going to do a lot of the heavy lifting. So for example, we had I've got a client who is a security wholesaler. They put a post on that they got scammed, and we got scammed. The picture was a CCTV picture of the person who'd scammed them with a clown over the face. We posted that at like 11 a.m. And that was like the most high performing post that we've ever done. And it's because people are nosy and they've lingered on that post for ages, and the picture was eye catching. So if you think about it on like Instagram and TikTok, you'll always have like a visual hook, there's something to pull you in. Think about how you can use those same techniques of eye catching to get people to stop, because all your goal is when you're doing content is to get people to stop and either read or watch whatever bit of content that is. That is the thing that is going to dictate how well the post is going to do, more than watch time, more than anything else.
I totally agree that I've got first-hand experience of this. The
Yeah,
highest
yeah,
amount of impressions that I've had on a post, not the most of engagement, but the highest amount of impressions is a post where I said that I'd been scammed, where basically people were going on to our Google reviews and they were giving us negative reviews in return for a ransom, and that got the highest amount of impressions that I ever had.
did that actually happen?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. We were getting
Crazy.
one an hour, one at every sort of 45 minutes. We were getting a negative review from someone abroad, and they were under different names and different aliases. The reason we knew it was a scam was because they were calling us a home improvements or a real estate improvements company when
Yeah,
we're not either of those things. So they didn't understand the business. And then the final post, the final review that they put in place was it said, if you want to stop these bad reviews, look at my profile picture. And the profile picture was a WhatsApp number. Um, and you basically WhatsApp the number, and then they ask for money for you to remove
that's
them.
so bad, isn't it?
Yeah, and well, it's bad, but it also gave us quite a bit of exposure because you use that to your own advantage to share that
Yeah,
story on
exactly.
LinkedIn, and people really do engage with it, which, every cloud has a silver lining, and I guess Google were very aware and very proactive of this. So within 24 to 48 hours, all those reviews had gone. It's just a situation that we have to ongo and monitor. So I really buy into the fact that there needs to be sort of a level of villain and a level of controversy without
Yeah,
breaching the bounds of your tone of voice in order to create that sort of narrative and that
yeah.
interesting story.
100%. And you have these creators as well who like their whole personal brand is built on controversy. And like I think that's great short term. Like they will blow up really quickly on whatever platform they're on. But I think credibility long term probably isn't going to be there.
Yeah,
Um, so I think it's a way that you do it, which still keeps your integrity intact. But like you said, it's about sharing like actual things that happen, but knowing how to play the game with it. Of like, okay, well, how am I? Because you could have said today I had something happen, and you could have just put a post on which didn't grab somebody's attention and didn't put a picture on.
yeah.
Whereas it's how you format it to get people to engage with it, and then obviously it did really well.
100%. Guys, if you've got any questions for Christy, now's your chance. Please do put them in the chat and we'd love to hear from you. Kubi said, I liked the roadmap too. I've automated some of the Facebook business pages, but LinkedIn, I just feel that I have to be doing
Yeah,
all the
100%.
content. Yeah. And that's one of the biggest flaws that I have is commenting back on some of the posts that I have, even just commenting uh, on my own posts based on other people's comments.
Yeah,
I really notice when a post underperforms because I haven't responded to the comments that people have left me,
yeah,
which is one, it's not very nice for the person that's taken their time to comment on your post, but also the algorithm's going, this person's not very engaged.
yeah,
So yeah, that's definitely something that I need to work on.
yeah. How are articles used? Do I do see some people use it, but how effective are they and how they can articles, I think, are an interesting one, and I don't know whether you've seen this as well, but it depends on the format that you're putting it in. So there's like different ways that you can put an article on LinkedIn. Like there's like the carousel PDF ones that I've seen a lot of people kind of shift to, which I don't know if they're technically classed as an article, but I think people are shifting more to that than what the traditional like article is, if that makes sense. Like, do you know the way you can link like a web page, which is like an article, that's a LinkedIn article. A
So
bit
the
like
article is so it's really weird because on a company page it's known as a newsletter, but on a
yeah,
personal profile it's effectively a newsletter, but in it's called an article. So you effectively write a blog which
yeah,
features on LinkedIn.
yeah. I've seen people do it in like a way where they format their newsletters as like PDFs. I don't know if like you can like shift it and then you can pin it to your profile.
Yeah, yeah. So
Yeah,
the carousels do perform really well.
yeah,
But the carousels are a fad. I say that loosely. That there's something that a lot of people have jumped on because they know that LinkedIn pushes them and they get a
yeah,
high level of engagement. But what that tends to mean is that a lot of people don't actually focus particularly well on the content of the carousel. So they just try and put together something quickly and then put that carousel as quickly as possible, and then it doesn't perform. The
yeah,
format is not enough for you to get the reach that you want. You have to really follow what Christy's saying in terms of your framework and how you're structuring things. And even that roadmap you can do for each individual slide within the carousel to tell that story, to tell that narrative. But again, with the newsletters and the articles, I don't know if you do this for your clients, Christy,
yeah,
but
yeah.
the newsletter is something that we've done and it really does help grow an audience quite quickly. But from a personal perspective, it's not something I've done on my own personal profile. But what I
No,
would say is that again, if you're going to copy ChatGPT and you're just going to stick it into an article and hope people are going to read it,
they're not gonna.
no, it's all about it's a personal letter that you're writing effectively to your audience every single time.
It's basically like a bigger post with more value, and it's kind of a little bit more again like a newsletter format rather than a post, isn't it? And people usually tune into like a newsletter because you've already got them hooked with your posts, and then you can basically give them more value or more of what you've already been giving them through your posts in a newsletter. So they're basically expecting you, but just in a longer format.
Yeah,
Um, so yeah, so if you like, for example, if you're getting Claude to generate like a carousel, or you're getting ChatGPT to write you the newsletter, you're not going to get like, even if you say, can you optimize it for SEO and can you optimize it for this, can you do this, it's not going to perform the same unless you really put time and effort into it, is
yeah.
kind of what I've seen with experience.
because they will tell the difference between you writing it and you not. And plus, if you put into ChatGPT to write you 2,500 words, it will do it, but your audience won't read 2,500 words.
No. I think if you're gonna do it and you really want to add value with it, you need to sit down and you can think, okay, what are like 5 topics which I am super passionate about and can talk about for days, and then break that up, and then go through it and then start doing it that way. Maybe and like a lot of newsletters that what I'm seeing which is effective is a lot of people do like a bit of a series, and it's like newsletter one of a series of how to do this. So say you're an accountant, you could do a newsletter series of um, 5 different things that HMRC will allow that you wouldn't think that they do. And then
Mm.
people tune in then. People like to follow along the journey. So maybe find out a way that you can maybe incorporate a bit of a series into your newsletter. Yeah, so you've got people engaged weekly or monthly or whatever that you want to do with that.
Great. Christy, I've absolutely loved this webinar. It's been fantastic to chat to you and sort of hear your perspective on it, particularly with the success that you've been having for your clients. So I've got two final questions for you, a contentious one and then a pretty straightforward one. So the first question is, what is your view on video content on LinkedIn, which is our
So, oh God, this is like this has been like a bit of a tricky one, hasn't it? I mean, you love LinkedIn as much as I do, and I think when they first introduced it, I think everyone thought it was going to be like the next big thing. Briefly, I don't know whether you remember this, they had almost like a Reels section, and then that quickly disappeared. I don't know. I feel like do you when you feel like it's like, what's it called? It's like the Mandela effect. Like I feel like I'm the only one that remembers them doing that.
LinkedIn stories were a thing for all of 2 weeks. Do you
Yeah,
remember that? That was mental.
yeah, like they introduce things and then take them away. But what they didn't do when they took the Reels page away is they didn't take away video content. So I think when they introduced Reels, people were like, right, this is what it's again, it's like the carousels. People jump on it because they know that LinkedIn's gonna want to promote their new feature. So people were doing them and then people were getting no engagement with it. Because if you think about it, even on Instagram and TikTok, that's why captions are so important. Because like I think it's something ridiculous. I can't remember the actual figure, so don't quote me, but it's something like 50% of people who are watching video content listen to it with the volume off. And that's because they're either watching it in work when they shouldn't be, or they've got the baby sleeping next to them, or they haven't got their headphones that day, or whatever it might be. And if you think about it, a lot of people who go on LinkedIn, they're not usually on the phone. A lot of people are on the desktop. And if they are on the phone, they're in work. So I think people were doing it and they weren't getting any results. And also LinkedIn wasn't pushing it because they didn't see the initial traction with it, because obviously it took people a little bit of time to adapt. This is what I understand from what's happened anyway. Earlier on in the year, there was an algorithm update where I believe they've started to favour video content again. And I'm actually seeing now a lot more video content and it performing a lot better. I am personally still a little bit apprehensive about it because of the way the algorithm changes, and like you'll know with this bloody stupid algorithm that like it's showing everybody at the minute your content from like 2 weeks ago, and they're not pushing out your content that you did yesterday.
Mm,
The way it changes, but I do think that it's going to be a bigger thing this year,
yeah.
100%.
I've definitely noticed a shift. I mean, I did a lot of video content last year and it fell flat on its
Yeah,
ass. And then we put out a couple of videos this year and they have done really well in
yeah,
comparison to what they did last year, which is great to see. But there are still a lot we have to learn about how video is incorporated into LinkedIn. And um, I think it's here to stay with LinkedIn, but it's a case of that they're not. If you've been on LinkedIn for more than a couple of years, you'll know that this is a cycle that they go through of understanding and changing the algorithm and ensuring that it's that certain pieces of content reach the right people. So it's
I think what they
definitely
don't want as well is the Instagram and TikTok content on their app, because it's a very different app. So it
yeah.
means sitting down and creating different content altogether, which is tailored for the audience which is on there. Which again is like a different thing to add to your plate if you're already doing every other platform and creating content for different things. It's like a different, another string that you've got to add.
Absolutely. Well,
So,
Christy, it's been amazing to have you on today, and I really, really appreciate you coming back. I hope coming on. I hope you'll come back, and if there's another change on LinkedIn, which I'm guaranteed to see in the next 6 months, then please do come back and share it with us. But my final question is, you obviously have really, really supported and helped property businesses around the UK, and you've created quantifiable results for them. There are people on this webinar tonight that will really need your support and your help. Where can they reach out to you? Where can they find you? How can they get involved in Ocho?
so obviously you can just DM me on LinkedIn. I'm on there every day, as you can probably imagine.
Be a bit
So
mad if you weren't.
so please feel free to obviously get in touch on there. I am also on Instagram and I'm also on the UK Homes Network app as well. So whichever is your platform of choice, just feel free to reach out. And if you've got any questions, I will do my best to answer them for you. And hopefully you found this useful. Sorry about the PowerPoint situation. I don't know what was happening there because it was the right one. I don't know why the slides weren't loading properly, but yeah.
No, that's amazing. And if you would, if it would be really cool if you wouldn't mind sharing a couple of those slides in UK Homes Network, because
Yeah, of
I think
course.
that there's so much. I'm literally, I've made a load of notes, and I don't typically make this much notes in a webinar. So there's going to be a lot of homework for me tonight, because
So thank you.
I've genuinely found this so valuable. Guys, we'll be back tomorrow at 4 o'clock with Steve Pazuskis from BNP Paribas. So we would love to have you there. Please do make sure you register for that webinar. It will be at 4 o'clock tomorrow. And yeah, when you see Christy posting, tell her what an amazing job she did on tonight's webinar and all the different tips and tricks that you've taken away, and how you'll be using them going forward. Thank you for your company this evening, and we'll catch you all again tomorrow.
Thank you. Thanks for having me as well, and I hope everyone found it useful.
Great. You're very welcome.